Official meeting. We won't begin with the invocation or pledge. And let me recognize Dr. Green to talk to us a little bit about some of her thoughts about this.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone that we do contract with a lot of nonprofits to provide some of our core services, and we do that as strictly as a business arrangement. It's the best way we've found to deliver the services. And there are also a few essential services that we provide through contract for health and safety. Examples include primary care, prenatal, emergency assistance, child care subsidy, and animal sheltering would be good examples. We do provide all of these under performance contracts with real specific measures. And tonight the organizations you're going to hear from provide some very good services in our community, but we do not have them under contract for specific services related to our core services. And the reason we did this is we do have a relatively new board and wanted everyone to be able to be familiar with the organizations and have faces and names to go together with those organizations. So thank you for your patience tonight and for taking your time to do this.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And we really appreciate all you do for the community. We want to get to hear from you. We want to get you a fair chance to present what you have. We do have your applications. Each commissioner has the copy, and we have your PowerPoints online, do we not, Madam Clerk? So we have all that. We want to hear from you about why you feel that we should partner with you on the funding application you have. Many of you, we've done this for many years, but again, we have a new board, and I think this board very wisely said we want to see the people and hear a little bit about them directly. So we'll go ahead and get started. The rules are going to be 5 minutes. I know we start off at 7. We just had a lot more people come than we had planned, so we're going to try to go with 5 minutes. The yellow light is going to come on in 3 minutes. That doesn't mean you have to stop. It just means you probably ought to start wrapping your thoughts up. And again, thank you for your service. Everybody on this board, we wish we could fund everybody every cent. We don't have a quota. We don't have a preconceived idea what we're going to do here because we have a new board, new rules, and we just want to hear what you have to say, and thank you for your time. Our first presentation will be the Big Ivy Community Development Club, and I think we have Kathy Norris here. So Kathy, let me just announce the next three and maybe have them sit in those seats. The second will be the YMI Cultural Center. You can come on up, Kathy. YMI Sharon West, and then we have ARC Mayor Bellamy. So you're in the right place there, Mayor. Good anticipation. Okay, Kathy, go ahead and tell us a Big Ivy application. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. The Big Ivy Community Development Club is located in Bernardsville. Some of you may be familiar with us. We've been in existence since 1973 and have been partnering with the county. In fact, the property that we are located on is actually owned by the county, and it consists of a resource building, swimming pool, volleyball and basketball courts, walking trails, ball field. We provide many services for the residents up in the North Buncombe area, including a food pantry, thrift store. We have various events including the 4th of July celebration, Christmas parties. We use the resource room for meetings, sponsor the Boy Scouts there. Some of the people actually rent out the area, the picnic shed, and the resource room for various parties, reunions, and weddings. The county has been very generous in supporting us for many years with a grant to help sustain the operation because we are responsible for all the operating cost of running the buildings, the swimming pool, everything. We pay all maintenance, repairs, improvements, and all the cost of all the programs. And what we focused on in our grant was a community garden, which we started last year to supply more fresh fruits and vegetables for our food pantry. The food pantry is growing each year. This past year, we more than doubled the amount of food that we had to provide to families out in our area. And we served almost 200 individuals and 175 families. Most of this food comes from either donations, food drives, or from Manna. But unfortunately, we're not able to get a lot of fresh food for these families. And in order to promote a more healthy living, to help provide fresh vegetables, we're asking for the grant to help us expand our gardens. We're hoping to do raised beds, potato patches, and we also are using volunteers, as we do for most of our programs in the community club. And we're going to be asking youth groups to help us, and we feel like that will help them also serve their community, help everyone learn about better eating, healthier eating, and if we can promote healthy eating in people, then we can help prevent some illnesses such as obesity, diabetes, help the school children learn better eating habits at a young age. The grant we're asking for will help with that, as well as helping us sustain all the expenses that we have at the community club in order to serve all our citizens up in North Buncombe. And we certainly appreciate all the support that we've had from the county for all these years. We feel like we provide a lot of services that these people wouldn't necessarily get. Many of our people, because of our distance from Asheville, still have a hard time getting into Asheville, especially with gas costs. So we provide a lot of help. We have a thrift store where we have low-cost merchandise, clothing, furniture, the household items that we help with, as well as the thrift store. And like I said, we have a Christmas Angel program. We do have a swimming pool. This part of the county still has a lot of activities at the community club, which bring the community together up there and help people socialize and get along. So while we focus the grant on the thrift store and the garden, I just wanted to give you an overall picture that there's a lot going on up at the community club that you will help sustain if we're able to get the money and continue our partnership with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. YMI Cultural Center and Helpmate will be the fourth presentation. Sharon, thank you for being here. And Richard Ford also with
Thank
YMI.
you. Thank you for allowing us this time to share about the YMI Cultural Center. And basically, we want some of the new commissioners to know exactly what the YMI stands for. And we are a very historical, iconic institution that essentially was developed out of protest of marginalization of African Americans in the late 1800s, marginalization in the economic arena, the political arena, and the social arena. So these two gentlemen, Mr. Isaac Dixon, who incidentally was the first African American member of the Asheville City Council back in the day, and then Mr. Stevens, of which Stevens-Lee High School was named after, were two instrumental people who stepped forward and extended a hand to Mr. George Vanderbilt to say, we need seed money because these people, our people, have nowhere to go to grow and to be groomed and to improve the moral fiber. And so when we think about this relationship, that's what we look at when we look at sustainability. And we look at what are we doing now in order to continue that very common thread. And what we're doing is providing programming. Since August of 2012, we've extended our arms and our doors to not only local communities such as the Center for Diversity Education to provide additional exhibitions, but also we've extended beyond our community to Charlotte, North Carolina at the Gantt Center, the Harvey Gantt Center, but also the Civil Rights Museum to say, look, we are promoting and we're preserving history, and we want to make sure that we're collaborating with you, our like partners who are like missioned as we. But also we have our local partners such as Eagle Market Street Development and many others that are just opening their doors, our faith community, which have been very supportive of us. You see, the YMI is about culture. We're about culture. When we think about sustainability, we think about three things. We think about resource, we think about relationships, and we think about results. The relationships were developed long ago in 1892 when those two gentlemen that I mentioned extended their hands. And when we see the community coming together to promote and provide what we're doing to sustain this culture, to preserve this historic, iconic institution, then that makes us realize that that relationship continues even through the years. And when we look at resources, our physical building. This is where we house our services. When we do the exhibitions, when you do the programming, when we have people that say, we want to have our event at your location. And one of the contract agreements with the county is that we are a venue for this culture and for this artistic display. And this is what we're doing. This is what we continue to do. And our board is committed to doing that. But then when we look at results meaning 120 years later, we're still standing, 120 years later. And yes, it's very expensive because guess what? This year, our building is 120 years old. This year, we will celebrate in the fall. We have 10 heating and cooling systems in our building, 10. That costs money in a 120-year-old building. And when there are repairs that's needed, we've got to pay for it. So when we look at all of that, we say thank you for the contribution and the money that you're providing. 75% of the monies that you're providing helps us to defray the cost that's not otherwise covered with our operational expense. So the income that you provide us, the monies that you provide us, is a welcome gift, and we thank you for that. And then we have the contractual expenses for when we have to hire people to do things such accounting, to do our annual audit, so that we can stay compliant and we can stay above board. So we want to say, yes, we do enjoy receiving that money. We enjoy receiving even any more money that you can provide for us. But thank you for that. And one thing about the YMI Culture Center that we want to share with you is that it is about culture, and we want to maintain that historic, iconic institution that is nationally known, state known, and believed to be one of the only, if not the only, longest existing historic institution of its kind in the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. West and Mr. Ford. We'll hear from ARC, Mayor Bellamy, and ASAP will be next after Help Move.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Gant and Vice Chair Jones. It's the first I had an opportunity to say that publicly. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm here on behalf of the ARC of Buncombe County. We're a nonprofit organization that has existed in North Carolina, in Asheville specifically, since 1957. Many people don't know that our offices are in the United Way building on the second floor. And it's through our work that in 1957 we were developed because parents with children with intellectual and developmental disabilities didn't have any programs for their children. And so one of the organizations that we helped create is the Irene Wortham Center, and most people don't realize that, but we helped create that program. We also worked with other community members to develop the comprehensive education program that's now housed at AB Tech. The Goodwill Industries program was started off as Handy Skills, and the ARC helped with that as well. So we have a long history of helping people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in our community. Tonight I'm here to ask for actually $16,950. In our application it was stated as $15,000. However, I didn't have the final contract that we were awarded for this year, and so that amount is the full amount that we currently receive. It's not a request for an increase, it's our current amount. When we look at the county's plans, we meet the following goals: to improve equity and access to health care, increase quantity and quality of recreation activities, build an extensive network of social services and locations in each high school district, increase the availability of locally produced foods to low-income individuals, and increase educational opportunities, providing farms and locally produced foods. Lastly, provide educational opportunities and financial planning. The request that you have before you is for 2 programs that are housed at the ARC of Buncombe County. The first one centers around health and wellness for our students. We're happy to be a partner with Buncombe County Schools, specifically the Progressive Education Program, which is housed at T.C. Robertson's High School. 2 years ago, the City of Asheville and the County of Buncombe looked at a health assessment for our county, and we saw that we need to improve the quality of health that's provided for our citizens. But in that 2010 health assessment, we saw that our students were not recognized. If you look at the health assessment, it does not include people with intellectual and developmental disabilities as a subcategory, nor were our clients interviewed at a detailed rate to look at how healthy they were or were not. And so we decided to do a pilot program over at TC Robertson. And what we did was we exposed our kids to healthy snacks. We provided them opportunities to do exercise, and it worked. Our students started doing yoga, and the teachers saw a result. They not only had the opportunity to be introduced to something new, but the behavior changed. We would do yoga in the morning. By the afternoon, they had calmed down. The outbursts diminished, and we were really proud of that fact. And most often, people think that our kids can't do a lot of things because of they have Down syndrome, or they have autism, or they have physical disabilities. So we tailored the program to meet their needs, and it's working. And so we're happy to say we're in our second full year with Buncombe County Schools, and the success of the program has warranted us an opportunity to work with the CDC on a national program that's looking at children with intellectual and developmental disabilities as well as adults in order to see how much our country needs to invest in this population. So we're proud to be one of only 8 sites in North Carolina and approximately one of 32 sites across the country to participate in the program. In the letter that I submitted to you, it details what we need to do to comply with that request. Another thing we were doing with health and wellness, the program has gone so well and done so well within the city school system. The principal has asked that we come and make a presentation to the rest of his staff in progressive education to expand the program for next year. So we're excited about that. We've also been asked to provide the program in alternative family living programs throughout the county because more programs want their kids and their adults to be exposed to health and wellness. And so when we're going in, we're doing it at a basic level. We're providing individuals who have sedentary lifestyles an opportunity to exercise. The last program that we're asking support for is our Assistance to Individuals program. Many people don't realize that some of our clients actually have jobs. However, there are some times that they get in a little trouble. They need heating assistance and they need help with their bills. And as part of this process, we assist them. We get them out of that crisis mode. And we also help them with financial planning. It's not like other organizations. We do have to repeat things over and over and over, but we do it because we care. We're willing to even call U.S. cellular companies, AT&T, and various companies to explain to them, you cannot call and offer our clients a product and expect them to say no, because they don't understand what you're selling them. They need the basic service that they signed up for because a guardian was usually with them when they signed up for it. So tonight, I'm asking for your support. Again, thank you so very much for supporting the ARC of Buncombe County.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate you taking time. Well, you've got a meeting next door, so thank you. Okay, after ASAP, we'll hear from Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you. I'm Ann Flynn. I'm here representing Helpmate, the local domestic violence shelter. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys tonight and also appreciate the past support that we have received from the county. So why should you partner with Helpmate? It's pretty simple. You're interested in healthy people, and we're interested in helping victims of domestic violence become healthy individuals, and healthy individuals create healthy communities and healthy families and so forth. So Helpmate has been around this community since 1979. It was started by Wilma Sherrill and a group of women who went into court and did a court watch program and realized there was a lot of women in the courts in 1979 seeking relief from some kind of domestic violence. And so out of that grew Helpmate in 1980, and we've been around since then. A recent study from CDC shows that 1 in 3 women will be battered at some point in their lifetime. For years, we have quoted research that says 1 in 4 women, and now this new study shows that 1 in 3 women. If you look at the number of women in Buncombe County right now and you reduce that down, that's about 37,000 women just in Buncombe County that's going to be battered at some point in their lifetime and be a victim of domestic violence. And to me, that's a very impressive number and just shows the seriousness of domestic violence in our community. We provide a lot of different services. We are here to ask funding for our crisis stabilization program, which provides emergency shelter and counseling and case management and advocacy to women and children who are actually living in our emergency shelter for some amount of time. People are admitted to our shelter for 1 or 2 reasons. One, they're at a high risk of losing their life because of domestic violence, or they are going to be homeless or are homeless because of domestic violence. We will house about 175 women and children this year in our domestic violence shelter. And I always like to point out that while that part of our program takes a lot of fiscal resources, we will provide total services of everything that we provide in the community to over 1,700 women and children this year. So we have a criminal and civil court advocacy program. We have counseling, individual and group. We have other types of advocacy. We have prevention education programs to at-risk groups as well as 911 responders, police, sheriff, paramedics, et cetera. It's not unusual to find us in Mission Hospital doing programs with ER staff because many times these are the first people that encounter a woman who has been battered. And so we want them to have a basic education and understanding of domestic violence and so forth. We specifically want to support the mental health needs of the women and children in our shelter. We are finding that people are coming to us with much more difficult and complicated cases that are really multifaceted. They may have more addictions, more diagnoses and so forth. And so we want to use some of the crisis stabilization money to provide those folks with increased access to mental health. They may be getting counseling through our master's level counselor, but they also will be getting referrals to the outside community for substance abuse and addiction and as well as more complicated mental health needs. And so that is what we would be using the financial request that we have asked of you. That's how we'd be using the money. So our core services, again, your core services align with healthy people, and we would like to do, again, the in-house counseling as well as referrals to the outside agencies for our folks. Domestic violence crosses all socio and economic lines. I always like to point out that we tend to think of that as a poor, undereducated person's problem, but it's really not. If you have resources, you're going to go employ your own attorney, you're going to go get alternative housing, you're going to take a vacation, you're going to go live with your relatives. But for most of our women, they fall 30 or more percent below the poverty level, and that's a big factor for them, and that's why they're knocking on our door. Since the recession, and I know we're through the recession, but for our women, the fact that the stock market is up and more jobs are being offered doesn't mean a whole lot because they're all underemployed or unemployed. And so they really do need or requiring more and more assistance from us, and that translates into more and more services they need, as well as they're staying longer with us in our shelter. Our longest length of stay has been 200 days. Our shortest has been a few days. Our average is about 37 days. And I always like to point out that if you think about taking your life apart and completely building it someplace else in 37 days, that seems like a pretty monumental task. And these ladies need, and children also need a lot of support from folks. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann Flynn from Helpmate. Next, we'll hear from Charlie Jackson and Scott Bunn with the Appalachian Sustainable Agricultural Project, and then we'll hear from Habitat and then Art Museum.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you.
ASAP, our mission is to build local food systems that support strong farms and healthy communities. We've been working to help maintain farms in western North Carolina for about 20 years. The project that we have proposed today supports and fits into the Buncombe County Sustainability Plan to help increase demand for locally produced foods. Buncombe County historically has lost farms, but we're in a changing environment, an environment now where more people are interested in sourcing food locally and supporting local farms. And some of the research that we've done has shown that the reasons that people want to eat locally grown food is really transitioning from the desire for fresher foods to one that's really supporting communities, and so that's an exciting change that's occurring. The work that we're proposing will attempt to get more shoppers from Buncombe County out to farmers markets to connect them with more food, to provide increased opportunities for farmers, more markets for farmers. We're going to do this through training assistance to farmers and through promotions to increase the visibility of farmers markets, again, to get more people out to those markets. We'll also work with farms that are doing community-supported agriculture, CSAs. It's a growing opportunity for farmers where farmers they pre-sell part of their harvest at the beginning of the season. We've seen that grow tremendously as well in Buncombe County. Some of our opportunities is we have 16 farmers tailgate markets in Buncombe County now. Over 600 farmers and other small businesses sell at these markets. Up to 10,000 shoppers are shopping at farmers markets weekly in Buncombe County now. We estimate that last year sales at those markets exceeded $2.5 million, and that's money that's going direct to farmers. These markets are also accessible. We've at ASAP put a lot of effort into making sure that we can accept supplemental nutrition programs at the markets. We've done that through tremendous outreach and through facilitating the mechanisms of being able to accept electronic benefits at the farmers markets. And the Asheville City Market alone does half of all EBT sales at farmers markets in the state of North Carolina. There are 22 CSA farms in Buncombe County. About 500 people participate in those. Local food is appealing to tourists. It builds our tourism economy. They build market centers, and successful farms are farmland preservation. Some of our partners on this have been, and hopefully will continue to be, Buncombe County to build these markets. The farmers, certainly, all of the markets in the county we work closely with. We work with cooperative extension, health departments, other nonprofit organizations in our communities. We are not seeking funding from the city or for tourism for this project, and that we have no additional specific funders for this project. Funds will be used for promotions. We'll be running TV commercials that we produced a few years ago on local television to promote markets, get people out to the markets. The number one thing that we hear from many people is they don't know when the markets are or where they are. We'll be producing our local food guide. This year we'll print 100,000 copies of the local food guide that'll be distributed with that information about where you can go find these markets. We will be providing training and technical assistance to farmers to help them create successful businesses and to really understand the role of these markets in the success of their businesses. And so the money's, and then the other thing we'll do is a CSA fair. And we've done this CSA fair for the last couple of years and struggled to figure out how to keep it going. But in that fair last year, we had 20 farms come for one day, invited the community to come out and meet the farmers and understand what a community-supported agriculture was. And within 3 hours, those farms did $20,000 worth of CSA sales. Our overall budget for this project, 100% is going to go to the project. For the organization, we're about 85% program focused. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Next, we'll have see Ed McGowan and Laura Collins. Don't see her with Habitat for Humanity. Next will be the Art Museum, and next after the Art Museum is Asheville Greenworks.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I am Ed McGowan from Asheville Area Habitat. Laura became ill earlier today. She's not with me, but I have my associates, Kit Raines and Byron Allday, with me. I do have a PowerPoint. We at Habitat believe that affordable housing in Buncombe County is a problem, and over the years we have been very successful in addressing this problem, and we'd like, with your help, to continue to be successful in the future at addressing this problem. Our mission is building and preserving communities. Our goal for fiscal 14 is to build 14 affordable single-family homes and to do 28 repair programs to keep people in their affordable homes. Habitat is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year, and this is a picture of our families at our Kearney Place development in West Asheville. I'm here tonight in support of our request for $64,500 to partially fund our family services function. Our family services function is the backbone of our organization in many ways. These are the folks that find our families, qualify our families, teach our families to be successful homeowners, and stay with our families after they move in to ensure that they are successful homeowners. In the 30 years that we've been in Buncombe County, we've built 242 affordable single-family homes, empowering almost 1,000 adults and children. We make our homes affordable in many ways, but primarily through volunteer labor and a 0% 30-year mortgage by which we sell the home to the homeowner at no profit to Habitat. More than 2,000 volunteers contributed more than 61,000 hours to our program last year. According to independentsector.org, that was worth about $1.2 million to our program. The fair market rental for a two-bedroom apartment in Buncombe County is $694. The average monthly payment for principal, property taxes, and homeowners insurance for a new two-bedroom, green-built North Carolina Habitat home in Buncombe County is $475. Current homeowners, Habitat homeowners in Buncombe County, collectively pay $232,000 a year in property taxes to the county. We are the largest builder of green-built North Carolina certified homes in the state. Critical sustaining sources of funding for our programs include homeowner mortgage payments. We have almost 200 mortgagors that are still paying us, brings about $600,000 a year into our program, which is about 10% of our budget. Our Restore generates about $2 million of revenue, which is about 35% of our budget. So 45% of our funding is from sustainable sources, and we're very proud of that. We offer a hand up, not a handout. Requirements for our program are the families must live or work in Buncombe County for 3 years. They must show need. They must show willingness to partner, and they must have an ability to repay their mortgage. They do sweat equity. Each adult in the family does 200 hours of sweat equity. Children 16 and over do 50 hours of sweat equity. The young man on the left is Jesse. He'll be moving into his Woodfin home in a couple months. The young lady in the middle is Michelle. She works for Community Action Opportunities in the Head Start program. She lives in Kearney Place. And the young lady on the far right is Tanya. She is the Dropout Prevention Coordinator at Asheville High, and she lives in Kearney Place. Our homeowner education has several components: the orientation, basic home maintenance, a manager money in which we partner with our friends at OnTrack. Celeste and Victor take great care of our folks over there. Home buyer education course, and of course we work with our families on preparing for their home closing. Today, our outside agency application is for $64,500 to partially fund our family services function. That's about 36% of the cost of that function. We have 4 people that work in that function. We have a full-time program director, a full-time family selection coordinator, Mr. Allday. His job is to find the families and to underwrite the mortgage and to qualify them. We have a full-time family support administrator who does the training. And we have a part-time family support specialist who stays with the families after they move in and monitors their success. I know you're not taking questions, but thank you for listening. Please come visit us at Kearney Place, Woodfin, and Swannanoa.
Thank you.
Thanks
Ed.
for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next, we're going to hear Pam Myers, the Asheville Art Museum, then Greenworks, then Asheville Lions Eye Clinic.
Good afternoon. I also have a PowerPoint, if we can cue that up. Thank you for having me here. I'm Pam Myers, Executive Director of the Asheville Art Museum, and David LeGlaze, a board member of the Asheville Art Museum, is here with me. We're proud to represent the museum, which was established in 1948 and is the 3rd oldest art museum in the state of North Carolina. We thank the county for your past and future support of our operations. Paul Allen, the co-founder of Microsoft, stated, "I have seen the critical role that the arts play in stimulating creativity and in developing vital communities. The arts have a crucial impact on our economy and are an important catalyst for learning, discovery, and achievement in our country. The arts are not frivolous, but an economic engine generating nearly $44 million per year in economic activity in Buncombe County alone, including $2.3 million in local government revenue." That's from the Americans for the Arts report. The time is now for Buncombe County to support the new Asheville Art Museum. The new Asheville Art Museum will directly support the county's sustainability goals for education and for the economy. Make the button work. I'm not reading the slides, but just adding a little commentary to fit into my 5-minute time slot, I hope. The new Asheville Art Museum will greatly increase access to art education for area educators and students of all ages. These are experiences that are critical to their future success, as demonstrated here by statements from the North Carolina Board of Education. The museum's collections, a unique cultural resource and civic treasure, and dynamic exhibitions and programming provide extraordinary access to art education for the students and educators of Buncombe County. The collection contains 3,642 objects of art in all media and nearly 5,000 architectural drawings, preserving the legacy of the Asheville and the Buncombe counties' built environment. The museum is committed to safely and securely protecting and stewarding this unique and valuable community resource that is held in the public trust. Current circumstances and aging systems make that impossible. 3% is not the whole picture. Your help and support will help us share the entirety of this cultural treasure with our community and its many visitors. The museum's exhibitions of national and regional significance enhance the quality of life for residents and bring cultural tourists and businesses to our community. We conservatively project participation will double in the new Asheville Art Museum. That's up from the 167,000 participants we served last year, including 21,000 grade school pre-K through 12 Western North Carolina children who were served with over 50,000 hours of art education. The museum currently adds $3 million to the local economy per year. We're serving people from all over Buncombe County, the Northeast, the country, and the world. Since Primed opened, demand has increased exponentially, with on-site museum attendance up 82% and new memberships up 87%. We project that the new museum will more than double the current economic impact, adding nearly $7 million to the local economy and supporting 79 full-time equivalent jobs per year. The county's investment will be returned to it through increased property values and county revenue through property tax and sales tax increases, as well as the addition of new jobs. With a world-class facility, the museum will significantly increase its impact. It'll be a 21st century architectural landmark for the cultural center of our communities. That's the footprint I think you all are aware of. 22 years ago, when Pack Place opened, Buncombe County stepped to the plate to support the operations. Now is the time for the county to renew its investment in this public-private partnership. Other communities have stepped to the plate. New museums have happened in all our competing cities and communities. These competitive expansion projects have received generous public funding and are good examples of museum expansion projects that bring significant return back to the community upon completion. To date, the museum has raised $8.6 million of our total goal of $24 million and 49% of our $17 million construction goal. The one thing, I guess, if I have a half a second, the museum is fiscally sound, conservative, and transparent. We've been in existence since 1948. We have only 25% of our operating budget is spent on administrative. The rest goes directly into programming for our communities.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank
Wonderful.
you very much.
Next up, we have Asheville Greenworks. I see former Mayor Worley and Susan Roderick. Then we have the Asheville Lions, and Buncombe County Schools will be after that.
And we do have a slide presentation. I hope. Here we go. Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, I'm Charlie Worley, Treasurer of Asheville Greenworks, and with me is Susan Roderick, Executive Director, and really the embodiment of Asheville Greenworks in the community. Just a quick, brief history, and I'm going to try and go through this quickly enough to give Susan an opportunity to have a few short comments at the end, but just as a brief history, we were created as Quality Forward in 1974, became Asheville Greenworks in 2009, with the purpose of providing a clean and green Buncombe County. And we've done that for darn near 40 years. We accomplished this through education, through volunteers, through our paid staff, through fundraising, and through grants. And our major partners over this period of time, I better catch the slideshow up. Our major partners have been Buncombe County and the city of Asheville, with close coordination with the staffs of both, also partnering with Conservation Trust, neighborhood groups, the Department of Transportation, and we are your Keep America Beautiful affiliate in this community. Our services have included the cleanup of trash along roadways and streams, landscape improvements, planting, shrubs, trees throughout the community, graffiti removal, recycling efforts in the community, and education in all of these aspects in our schools and community groups. The next 5 slides I'm going to go through very quickly. They just show you some examples of some of the things that we have done over the time that we've been in existence, really throughout the county, including county facilities, substantial efforts in cleaning up the French Broad River, which is a mainstay of our community. And there's a few results of what we've been able to pull out of the river on at least one occasion. During the course of our existence, well, during the last year, I should say, we've had almost 2,800 volunteers expending over 12,000 hours in the community and providing over $350,000 in direct benefit to the community. And there's an explanation as to how that 350 is calculated. A little graph that shows the direct benefit to the community. We've ended up removing tons of trash from the community, tire removal, all the landscape projects I mentioned earlier, and numerous hard-to-recycle events all over the county. Our need, and this is why we're here today, we're asking for an increase in the funding that you have been giving us of up to $35,000. We have our personnel costs. We only have 3 paid employees, the administrative costs that we have, cost of services that we provide to the community, and the cost of seeking grants, which greatly enhance and supplement our ability to serve the community and to maintain our financial stability. And I don't think I need to explain to you what the economy has done over the last 5 years, and Asheville Green Works has been particularly hard hit with that. Our reserves have reached critical lows despite great efforts on the part of Susan to cut expenditures in critical things, but our core services have been maintained. They're threatened now. So that's why we're here to ask you for your assistance in increasing it. We contribute directly, we believe, to the function of government in Buncombe County, and if we cease to exist, the cost to the county to replace the services that we provide in keeping this community beautiful would greatly exceed the funding that we are seeking from you today. We clean the roads, we clean the streams, we clean the community, we make the environment better, we help make this area a desirable place to live, a desirable place for tourists to visit, and for companies to locate. And we really ask for your help in continuing to do these things. And I hope I've given Susan a little bit of time left.
Thank you. I'm very fortunate to have Charlie as a good treasurer. I hope I can keep him forever. And thank you to all you. And I want to get to know the new county commissioners so we can let you know what we do in your neighborhood and in your community, because we're out there. But we'll be almost 40 years, so you're going to help us celebrate 40 years next year, and I'm really excited about that. I just want to tell you a little brief story about this coming Saturday that tells what we do. The Blue Ridge Arborists Association is a new group of arborists in the community that want to do service out there to help people who can't afford it or don't know how to take care of trees. So they're going to go to Black Mountain all day Saturday, work at the community gardens to lighten up the garden. The gardeners want sun, and the tree people want trees, and so we're going to get them together. And we don't want them to top the trees. And then we're going to go up to Lake Tomahawk and aerate all the hard-packed soil around the trees around Lake Tomahawk, because the town of Black Mountain doesn't have the money to do it. So we'll do that, and we'll have a cleanup, and we'll do other things too. Another thing we're doing is in March we're having a conference at the new Lenore Rhine facility, which is beautiful, and we're going to have trees featured in March. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Jackie Rice with the Asheville Lions Eye Clinic. Then we'll hear from Buncombe County Schools, Career Academy, and then Children's First.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm with the Asheville Lions Eye Clinic. We are a nonprofit agency that promotes healthy people, and more importantly, we promote healthy eye care. We have a two-part mission, first being to provide as many free vision and glaucoma screenings to as many residents of our community as possible, and to identify any further evaluation they need from an eye care specialist. The second part of our mission is to assist financially and or resourcefully in obtaining eye exams, eyeglasses, and low vision aids for members of our community who are low income and or uninsured. We serve all geographic areas of the county by going into local charter schools, private schools, parochial schools. Also, we go into all the local plants and businesses. We attend community health fairs, assisted living communities, churches, colleges, to provide all of these vision screenings and glaucoma screenings and to identify where there may be need for further evaluation and or further resources. On an annual basis, our screening services will affect approximately 9,000 households and or individuals. And of those 9,000 people, we will refer 30 to 40% of those, varies year to year, 30 to 40% of those due to elevated screening results. Our eye care assistance program services 300 people on an annual basis. It consists of children that we screen in the schools as well as adults that we screen in plants. We also work with a referral system from the school nurses, United Way's 211, and Services for the Blind. Everyone who contacts our agency in seek of eye care assistance will receive it. If not from us, then one of our community partners. We partner with Services for the Blind, VSP, Lens Crafters, and several local eye doctors donate their services and their eye exams and their resources to our agency. In the past 3 years, we have provided 36, these are approximations, 36,000 vision and glaucoma screenings in Buncombe County. We've screened 24,000 people. We've referred about 9,000 people in those 3 years, 5,000 of which are Buncombe County and Asheville City School students. We've also provided eye care assistance, whether that be eye exams, eyeglasses, and or low vision aids to over 1,000 people in the last 3 years in our county. We are currently funded by Buncombe County, which is about 45% of our funding, United Way, which is about 15% of our funding, and the Asheville Lions Club, which is approximately 40% of our funding. These percentages vary slightly year to year based on contributions, designated contributions from United Way, and also our annual fundraiser with the Asheville Lions Club. We operate on an annual budget of $65,500 a year, with 10% of that going to administrative and 90% of that going to programming. Our county funds will be used on overall operating budget to cover overhead, eye care assistance, supplies, payroll, insurance, etc. This year we are requesting $27,360 from Buncombe County in an effort to provide 13,500 vision and glaucoma screenings to 9,000 people in our community, as well as provide 300 clients with eye care assistance for eye exams and eyeglasses. The need for our service has continued to maintain or slightly increase over the past several years. The need for the eye care assistance has increased substantially since November of 2011, when Medicare and Medicaid made drastic changes to their eye care program. It is our mission to fill these needs in our community, and we hope to continue to be able to do that with the help of Buncombe County as well as our other community partners. Thanks.
Thank you, Jackie. Next, we'll hear from Christy Cheek and Suzanne Swanger on the Buncombe County Schools Career Academy. Following that, we'll hear from Children First and Evelyn Charities.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us time to be here and update you on the Career Academy at Irwin High School. The purpose of our academy is to prepare students for life after high school. We want to grow our own, and your funds have allowed us to do that. The idea began about 5 years ago when a very sad newspaper article referred to Irwin High School as a dropout factory. So a group of educators sat around the table and said, what can we do that's different? So the Career Academy was born. And as a result, Irwin's dropouts have been reduced from well over 100 to less than 40, so well on their way. The Career Academy is a work-based program that works on career and college readiness. We have in place a graduation advocate, and it is her job to get students across the stage, remove obstacles and barriers to whatever it takes to get those students graduate. But more importantly, she teaches those students how to advocate for themselves through job-seeking skills, interview skills, personal growth and development, as well as academic support. We make sure that students have the proper schedules, that they're supported academically, while getting into the local community. As we grow our own, our students need to know what's available to them. Can they go work for Buncombe County government or Biltmore House, Mission Hospital? So we take those students out, but we bring those speakers into their classrooms as well, and it's working very well. Our students don't know that those are possible. We took a group of students to the Inn on Biltmore, and the students said, gosh, I've never been here. And these were 16-year-olds that did not ever have the opportunity to visit Biltmore House. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the EDGE program. This is Christy Cheek.
We are teachers by trade, so the day we get to go into that classroom and teach is a wonderful, wonderful day for us. And 4 days during the year, Biltmore executives go into that classroom along with AB Tech, and we get to teach about great workplace learning skills. Everything from a handshake contest, that's very exciting and fun, to just looking at a uniform. The first year we did this, Biltmore executives went in with uniforms on, and students couldn't identify with them. So the next year we came plain clothes, and we actually talked about what it means to put that uniform on, and then, you know, we can identify with that the 8 hours a day we wear that uniform. So it's very much transcending what they know and what they don't know, but everything also from filling out that job application correctly to job interview skills, the good, the bad, and the ugly of job interview. We're building these resumes for children, and the great culmination of this activity after visiting the estate is they interview for hospitality camp in the summer, where it's a paid internship experience on the Biltmore estate. So those students are actually getting to work side by side with Biltmore employees, building those skills, learning what it's like to create that atmosphere and learn that Biltmore style. Again, they may not work at Biltmore, but they know what that's like, and they're building that portfolio to go forward. So the program, Suzanne kind of talked about it a little bit, and we do take a 9th grade cohort and build on that and go forward with that advocate, working with those students, continuing them to mentor and to advocate for themselves. And our students are being successful in this program with a 98% success rate. Suzanne's going to talk just a little bit about these students as they face some difficult challenges.
Just for you to know a little bit about some of the challenges these students face, we did a perceptions data collection, and these students tell us that they want the same dreams as our children. They want to go to school, or they want a job with benefits. However, they live in households that they have at least one parent not working. Many of their households, at least a third of them, need financial support through disability or Medicaid. Only a third of our students said they live in poverty. However, when we looked at their free and reduced lunch numbers, 75% were living in poverty. So students often only know what they know. We know that their families struggle and that at least one of their parents did not finish high school. So it's important for us to use this opportunity to break the cycle and make these dreams come true. So we thank you for your support of the Career Academy and the work that they're doing to contribute to our economy and our community.
Thank you, Christy. Suzanne. Next, we'll hear from Adrian Annerman and Allison Jordan for Children First. Then we'll hear from Evelyn and Environmental Quality Institute after that.
We have a PowerPoint as well, but I will go ahead. There it is. Good evening, Chairman Gant, members of the Commission. I'm Allison Jordan, Executive Director of Children First Communities and Schools of Buncombe County, and this is Adrian Ammerman, our Director of Engagement. I'm not going to read our mission, which will pop up, yes. So I'm not going to read our mission to you because it is a little long, but I did want to point out some highlights. We focus on children and their families through education, advocacy, and services. And we are also a merged organization. We've merged with Communities and Schools of Asheville, and I'm really excited to announce that we were recently accredited by our national office in December. So that's an exciting opportunity for us. And the mission of Communities and Schools is to surround students with a community of support. And what does that community of support look like? But before I talk about what the support looks like, I want to talk about who we provide that support to. And many of the families that we're working with are the same families that you heard Suzanne mention and talk about. We're just working with them in the early years. We are working primarily with families living in the West Asheville community in in the Irwin district, in the Emma and Johnston elementary school students. And I wanted to point out that 1 in 4 of our children in Buncombe County live in poverty. But in the school systems that we are working with, about 85% and above of those students are on free and reduced lunch. We believe strongly as an organization that advocacy is key to long-term systematic change, but what we also know is that advocacy public policy work takes time. And so in the meantime, we have our Family Resource Center at Emma. We have 2 community and school success coordinators at Johnston and Emma Elementaries, and those are research-based family resource centers in one person in a school. We have our Project Power AmeriCorps program and 3 after-school learning centers in public housing, and then summer camps in the summer months. And now I'm going to turn it over to Adrienne.
So historically, Buncombe County has supported our Learning Center program, and we're truly appreciative of that. This year, we're asking Buncombe County to support 3 of our program areas that Allison mentioned in recognition of the importance that our holistic services play in the lives of our children in their schools, their neighborhoods, and in their communities. And I just want to quickly point out the close relationship that our services have with Buncombe County's sustainability plan. The results that Buncombe County's investment will have are improved learning for children at Johnston and Emma elementary schools, improved learning and behavior for our learning center students, and increased support for our families and their children through emergency services provided at our Family Resource Center at Emma. So just to give you a picture of what that means, a student at Emma Elementary School may benefit in the morning from a tutor arranged by our Communities and School Success Coordinator. They may then attend a free after-school learning center where they receive homework assistance, a healthy snack, and an enrichment activity. And then they may go home to a warm, healthy meal made possible by a food box provided through our Family Resource Center at Emma. And I just wanted to quickly point out some of our valuable partners that we've made over the past 30 years that the organization has been in existence, and also wanted to note that that our organization uses the Beacon system in order to ensure that that we provide services without any duplication.
So you had asked some questions about our budget, and our budget is a little over $1 million. And I wanted to point out that 60% of that $1 million goes to support our Project Power AmeriCorps program. So the other $400,000 to $500,000 we have to raise annually. You asked about the city of Asheville, and we receive $15,740 from the city. And when you look at our expenses, about 12% of our expenses go to support administrative and fundraising costs. And then this last slide is just another way to look at the way our program expenses are broken out. And in conclusion, I just wanted to reiterate that we are asking Buncombe County to invest $60,000 to support educational resources and equitable opportunities for our children today. Because they are our community and they are our future workforce. They're our future leaders, our future teachers, our future parents, and our future business owners, and our future elected officials.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Next, we'll hear Evelyn Charities, Bill Murdoch. Following that, Environmental Quality Institute and the Folk Heritage Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. I appreciate the opportunity to come up and specifically talk about the graduation initiative partnership that we have with Buncombe County Schools and the County Commissioners. We actually started with the County Commissioners early on, and of all the programs that Evelyn Charities does in the community and all the lives we've touched in these various partnerships, I don't know one that is more effective and certainly more of a pleasure for us to work with the Buncombe County Schools, Dr. Baldwin, Donna Lanahan, who I'll introduce here in a second, or as our director, and just to see the tremendous growth and the tremendous reduction in the past 5 years we've been doing this program. The graduation rate has increased and the dropout rate has decreased by 36%, which is the largest reduction in Buncombe County history. But it's not just Evelyn, it takes all the partners together, and what we've learned is not only the cause of dropouts, but making sure, Evelyn's part is making sure these families have what they need. So if there's an electric bill that needs to be paid, if a parent has lost their job, one time there was a young man who needed a bicycle to stay in school so he could get back and forth to school and get to work on time. So sometimes there are things that we don't think about. So when Donna comes in and the counselors come in and they say this young man, this young lady's going to drop out because their mom is sick, she's lost her job, father's lost her job, they can't pay the rent, we say we'll take care of that. We'll make sure your lights stay on. We'll make sure you have food. You stay in school. But there's so much more to it than that. And I'd like to introduce Donna Lanahan, who's our executive director.
Good evening. In 2006, the county commissioners made an investment to begin the graduation initiative. And in these difficult economic times, it is always nice to be reminded of an investment that has paid tremendous returns to our community and to our students. And so on behalf of Bill and Dr. Tony Baldwin and Kay Lamb, who is our current interim director, I want to say thank you for that initial investment, and we would like to ask for your continued support. I'd like to share with you a little bit from our presentation about the success that Bill mentioned. When the graduation initiative started in 2006, we had 452 dropouts in Buncombe County schools, and that had been a pretty intractable problem to address. Since then, we have seen a decrease, and our number this year was 257 students. So we have almost cut in half the number of dropouts in Buncombe County schools. Pair that with our increasing four-year cohort graduation rates, which continues to increase. We knew that there would be a lag between the number of dropouts and the corresponding graduation rate, but that has certainly started to see an increase as well. We have several partners, of course, including the county commissioners. Evelyn, Buncombe County Schools funds additional 3 positions and programming support. From 2007 and 2012, we had the privilege to be supported by the North Carolina Dropout Prevention Grant. About $750,000 we were awarded from that. That funding ended statewide in 2012, and the Sisters of Mercy has picked up some funding for us this year, but we continue to look for support as that is year-to-year funding from Sisters of Mercy. You will see in the information that you have just some statistics about why this investment matters so much to our community. I won't read the slide, but certainly things that you are familiar with. High school graduates are more likely to have better health care, to commit fewer crimes, to have children who graduate from high school. And that is why we do what we do, because we believe in the tremendous impact that our work has, not just for current students, but for future students and for the community. Certainly there is dividends to be paid for individuals in terms of their earnings and what they can provide to their families. I think it's important to put a dollar figure, which can be sometimes difficult to do, on just what this work means for our community. You can find a lot of figures about how dropout prevention impacts local, state, and national communities. We have chosen to go with a communities and schools figure. You heard from Allison Jordan. The communities and schools has put a dollar figure of $275,000. That includes increased tax revenue, fewer health care costs, reduced criminal justice costs, and less public assistance. So if you take the decrease in dropouts that we've had in Buncombe County schools and translate that to graduates, that is 584 additional graduates, which means a potential savings for our county, our state, and our nation of over $160 million. So thank you for your past support, and we have a lot more work to do, so thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we're going to hear from Environmental Quality Institute, Ms. Anne Marie Traylor. We're going to hear Folk Heritage Committee next, and then Historic Resource Commission after that.
I do have a PowerPoint. Hi, I really appreciate your all's time tonight. My name's Anne-Marie Traylor. I'm with the Environmental Quality Institute, and we run a program called the Volunteer Water Information Network, or VWIN. This project began in 1990 in Buncombe County, so we have about 22 years of water quality data in Buncombe County now. Our goals are to provide objective water quality for streams in western North Carolina, and have partners that work on conservation protection of these water resources. So our approach for this VWIN project is to have trained volunteers go out every month to their sites, collect samples, which are brought back to the EQI laboratory, which is state certified. We run the analyses in our lab and then provide both the raw data monthly to our stakeholders, and then also provide annual technical reports summarizing the data. So currently our Buncombe County partners are Metropolitan Sewerage District, the county, and also the City of Asheville Stormwater Services Division. And we recently had one site funded by the Elisha Mitchell Audubon Society, so we're happy with them too. We also have many regional partners. We have 14 organizations in western North Carolina, and we sample in 13 counties, and that's about 200 lake and stream sites overall that are sampled monthly. So here's a map of Buncombe County and the sites that we have. I don't know if you can see that very well, but we sample down in the southern part of the county, down in Fairview and towards Bent Creek. We have 5 sites along the French Broad River itself. We sample along the Swannanoa River watershed, the northeast part of the county, and also the northwest part of the county up in Lester and Sandy Mush. So here's our volunteers out collecting some samples. They go out monthly. We have 25 volunteers in Buncombe County right now contributing 300 hours per year in sample collection. And then this citizen involvement really helps to bring down the cost of the program. The samples are brought back to our laboratory at EQI. We have opportunities for internships and federal work study positions for local college students who learn how to do lab analyses in the certified lab professional environment, and they also help reduce our costs. So every month the samples are analyzed for nutrients such as orthophosphate, ammonia nitrogen, and nitrate nitrogen. We do pH and alkalinity, turbidity and total suspended solids, and conductivity. That's 8 parameters every month for these 49 sites in Buncombe County. So every month, like I said, we give the data, the raw data, to MSD, Soil and Water Conservation District, and the Stormwater Services Division for the city. And then also we prepare annual reports, which include things like summary data for the sites. We give the sites grades for each chemical parameter, and then we have rankings of all of our stream sites in western North Carolina. So you could see how Buncombe sites compared to, say, sites down in Jackson or Swain County. And then we also do trend analysis to see if certain chemical parameters are increasing over time or with flow rates, things like that. So here's just an example. I can't tell you everything that we do for these reports, but here's an example of something you might see where we have ratings for each of the sites in Buncombe County. I'm sure that's really hard to see, but for some of the worst sites are up in Newfound Creek and Sandy Mush Creek up in the northwest part of the county. Some of the best are over in the Swannanoa River watershed headwaters. So we compare ourselves to a commercial laboratory, which would cost almost twice as much for the same analyses that we do. But you also wouldn't get the sample collection and the data analysis with them. Again, the volunteers and the student interns and work study students really help with bringing our costs down, and being a nonprofit also really helps out. For 2013, our budget is $90,000, and about 53% of that will go. 53% of Buncombe County's money would go to staffing, including students. about 16% to laboratory supplies, 14% to rent and utilities for the laboratory. And I just like to thank all of our regional partners, especially our Buncombe County partners. Thank you very much for your time.
Next, we'll hear from the Folk Heritage Committee, Jerry Sutton, Historical Resources Commission, ×2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board, for this opportunity. My name is Jerry Sutton. I'm a member of the Folk Heritage Committee, a group of 15 dedicated individuals who love the music and dance and storytelling heritage of this area. We have 8 advisors, and we meet monthly to plan 2 events. One event occurs in the summertime on Saturday nights between 4th of July and Labor Day. That's the Shindig on the Green. The other event we plan is, and that event, by the way, is free to the public. And sometimes we have thousands of people show up for that event. So it's outdoors, free to the public. The other event that we sponsor is the Mountain Dance and Folk Festival, which is a ticketed event, lately being held in the Dinah Wortham Theater on Pack Square, but previous to that was in the old Asheville City Auditorium, and currently the Thomas Wolfe. That's why those statues exist in front of the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium, because of the Mountain Dance and Folk Festival, which was begun in 1928 by Bascom Lunsford. He created one of the nation's most important historic and cultural performance events. The Mountain Dance and Folk Festival is the nation's oldest continuously running folk festival, and when the fiddles, banjos, cloggers, and more hit the stage in 2013, the festival will celebrate its 86th birthday. Now, I don't know if you appreciate that so much, but many times when a founder of the musical event like the Mountain Dance and Folk Festival passes away, as Mr. Lunsford did in 1974, then oftentimes the festival declines and eventually disappears. The Folk Heritage Committee works to preserve that heritage of this area in Mr. Lunsford's memory, as well as to create new memories for all the current people who participate and who attend those nights of events. The Mountain Dance and Folk Festival continues to give area performers important recognition, highlighting their talents and preserving our Southern Appalachian heritage in a concert setting. The Shindig on the Green, on the other hand, provides a way to encourage and present a wide variety of performers in an informal outdoor atmosphere. Each summer since 1967, Shindig has presented authentic traditional music and dance, provided free entertainment to tens of thousands of attendees from all over the world, while stimulating awareness and appreciation for the cultural heritage of the region. 4 questions that I've been asked to address have been, what are your partners and additional funders? Most of our funds come from the people who attend our events. While we do appreciate support from Buncombe County, we have a number of private contributors who contribute anywhere from $10 to $100. A real grassroots effort, you might say. We had last fiscal year, we had corporate support in the amount of $4,600, which was slightly less than 9% of our budget. We do collect revenue from vendor fees. We do have raffles. We offered items made by local crafters. Last year and the year before that, we were able to, over 25% of our budget came from our raffle ticket sales. And so while we are in the business of putting on these 2 events, we incur a number of debts, obviously, and we have to be responsible for paying off those debts, and so that's why we certainly seek our support from wherever we can, although it seems like most of our support tends to come from local businesses, and people who attend our events, and we appreciate that greatly. The question number 2 was, are you seeking funds from the City of Asheville and or the Tourism Development Authority? The answer is no. Question number 3, how specifically will be using county funds for salaries, bricks and mortar, et cetera? We have no paid employees. We have no salaries. We're all volunteers. We have no building, therefore we have no bricks and mortar. We do contract services. We contract sound systems. We contract house bands. we have a contract with a marketing agency locally. Third, the final question, what is your overall budget and what percentage the administration is of the budget? Currently, the Asheville Chamber of Commerce manages our budget. We pay them less than 3% of our budget to do that, to handle our checking and accounting. Why should the commissioners support this budget, or why should they support Folk Heritage Committee? We believe that we bring a lot of dollars into Buncombe County, and therefore we seek your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Next, we'll hear the next two presentations will be Stacy Merton with the Historical Resources Commission of Asheville and Buncombe County.
Thank you. And I do have a PowerPoint presentation. I know how to do this. I'm not sure I do, but thank you, Chairman Gant, members of the Commission. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be here tonight. I know some of you are familiar with the Historic Resources Commission and others may not be, but we are a joint city-county commission that was formed by local ordinance in 1979, so we've been in existence for over 30 years. And I think what's a little bit different about our organization as opposed to some of the other folks that are here tonight is that we actually are an entity of local government. I'm an employee of the city of Asheville, but the Commission actually appoints half of the commissioners to our board. And then 6 are also appointed by the county. Let's see. Is it the, that's what I'm hitting and it's just kind of bouncing back, but, oh well. No, there we go, sorry. The HRC, some of the things that we do, we are responsible for identifying and inventorying the city and county historic properties and things that have architectural and cultural significance to the community. We also conduct design review, and this is probably the biggest part of our work, is to conduct design review within the city. I just wanted to go back just a minute to talk about the overall Commission. I think that we are a successful example of local government cooperation. And we are also a certified local government. That means that we're certified by the state and federal government to carry out the tenets of the Historic Preservation Act at the local level. And we, as a result of that, we are responsible to report each year to the State Historic Preservation on the work that we do. We are required to have a qualified commission and also to have an ordinance in place. And as I said, design review is a big part of what we do. Also, we are responsible for compiling and updating design guidelines for all of the communities that we do design review in. So, for example, Montford is a big part of what we, part of our mission, and we do design review in that area. We also conduct educational programs with respect to historic properties and districts. And currently, we have nearly 14, this is a map of the districts throughout the city. We have 14 national districts now in the city, and as well as 47 local landmarks. Most of the landmarks are in the county, are in the city, but a few of them are in the county, and we review quite a few of reports in that area as well. Most of the work that we do involves design review, and the past year we have reviewed over 150 certificates of appropriateness. One of the other big projects that we've just completed is a review of the downtown district, an updating and expansion for that area. And that means that the area has been expanded and the time frame has expanded so that local businesses can apply for tax credits in the downtown area. Another project that we recently completed is an architectural survey for that. It was over 5,000 properties for the whole city, and that is available if any of you would like to review. We have completed updates to our guidelines for the St. Dunstan's community, which is one of our recent local designated communities.
And I'll be talking about this a little bit more, but in the past year we've worked as part of the National Historic Preservation Act on a number of memorandums of agreement for some large projects that are occurring downtown. The Eagle Marketplace project, as well as the O-Team Veterans Hospital. And I've worked with the Buncombe County Library on relocating some dioramas of the development of the Pax Place to the library. We are in the future, in 2013, one of our goals is to develop a preservation plan. We'll also be working with Arcadia Press on a book documenting the history of Albemarle Park. We'll also be working with Albemarle Park on the update of their guidelines. In the past few years, we've worked with Montford on updating their guidelines, and we are revisiting those this year as well. And one of our goals is also to secure dedicated funding from the county. We hope to be able to do that. Over the past few years, the funding has been reduced somewhat, and we hope to get that back up to previous levels. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight. And I'm the next person also as well. So the first presentation was actually just for our program budget to supplement the funding that we get from the city. But what I'm asking here is money for a preservation plan. I believe that preservation is at a crossroads in the city and the county. We've had a successful program for the past 35 years, but we're now at a place where there's been a lot of changes within the city and the county governments. And we want to try to think a little bit more strategically going forward in the future. Heritage tourism is a big issue, as well as community development and rural planning issues, and sustainability and natural resource conservation. And we think that preservation has been sort of siloed as only focusing on buildings and that type of thing. We really would like to integrate it more into the planning process as we go forward, and we hope that a preservation plan would do that by including the community in the process as well. I have done some research. This certified local government program that I mentioned we have the opportunity to apply for a $15,000 grant for that program, but we do need a 40% local match. And some other cities in the state that have done that, Salisbury and New Bern, have completed plans for approximately $25,000. So the goal would be, if we could get $10,000 from the county, that we could use that as a match for the CLG grant of $15,000. We do have some funds on hand through the sales of another book that we have produced, and also the Eagle Marketplace project through a federal memorandum of agreement. As part of that project, through the National Historic Preservation Act, we have $1,000 from that organization as well. And part of that MOA was to further the goals of preservation in the community. So that would be where if we were able to get that $10,000, we would use that as a match for that certified local government grant. So thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and we really appreciate your support in the past, and we look forward to working with you more in the future.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. We're at halftime here. What's the pleasure of the board? You want to keep going, or do you want to take a 5-minute break?
5 minutes.
5-minute break.
I will call it in. I mean, don't say that unless you are like ready to like be unashamedly eating pizza up here with me. Because I will do it.
All right.
Oh, my goodness. Hey. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hi, Wanda. I'm grateful. That's right. Project. Well, it's good to see you. Oh, why is the I just think about it. Earlier than later, though. I went down and looked at the others, so you and I need to visit.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for taking time to do that. Good to see you too. How you been? Super. Pretty good, pretty good. Hanging in there. Excellent. Liking my new board here. Yeah, I think the first time I've been to this channel. Yeah, last time I was down the road. Yeah. So that was our first time. But yeah, now we have a board and everybody's great. Great. Hi. This is Sharon. Hi, Joe. Sharon Lewis. Nice to meet you. So all's well. All's well.
Cool. How long have you been doing that now?
I still can come out and help me on the side, but this is consuming me. I'm having a...
Good. Thanks for doing that. All right, let's go.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started again. The next three will be Interdenominational Ministries Alliance. We'll hear from Ron and Scott. Ron Gates and Scott Rogers. Mountain Housing Opportunities. We'll have the next two presentations. So Ron, Scott, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and Board of Commissions, for allowing us to share about our Circles program. The 26 churches of the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance, known as the IMA, thank you for your support of $30,000 that you gave last year to help young parents with training and career-level jobs. The IMA, in which we do have two other members here, Dr. John Grant and Dr. L.C. Ray, they've been along here. Our partners, the IMA is partners with ABCCM in the mentoring program called Our Circles. The first picture shown for our recent graduates who are moving into a new career between $11 to $20 an hour job occupation. The IMA is working with 5 peer leaders who are risen like ice cream to the top of their class. 6 IMA ministers are mentoring to these 5 peer leaders at the present time for a period of 3 months to build their natural leadership skills. Reverend Scott Rogers will take it from here and fill you in with the rest of the information.
It's an honor to work with the IMA and our pastors. As you see the graduates up there, these are young parents under the age of 25. And when we look at young people, we really think they are our future. Last May, the county commissioners appointed ABCCM as the lead agency in a Tier 3 strategy, which is not to just provide a safety net like we do with food and clothes, not to just provide education and training, but to provide building blocks out of poverty, stepping stones that take these families on. So I wanted to show you that we've really been able to do that. It's not advancing. In 2012, 90 families were enrolled in our circles, 72 were trained. We've also taken half of those and matched them up with allies. And you can see that their progress has been pretty remarkable. If this will advance. Nope, it's going the wrong way. Let's try this one. There we go. Just a snapshot of our participants. You can see that when they started the program, many of them were not making much in the way of funds, and just after the first 6 months to a year, you can see that employment has grown dramatically. We're seeing these young people get a career at a level and a way that really doesn't just give them a job flipping burgers, it gives them a job managing. It doesn't give them a job just helping in healthcare. They're becoming farm techs, electronic health records technicians, phlebotomists in the healthcare sector. They're moving forward in the internet technologies industry, repairing computers through A+ certification, and moving on. Our participant outcomes pretty much speak for themselves, and this year we will train 120. We're looking at simply this. Out of that 120, we want to train 20 peer leaders. These are folks who have risen to the top and are reaching out and being a part of training 100 others. We're using 300 allies. And our pastors are key in being mentors to these peer leaders. We thank you for considering our $30,000 request, which will go directly to building the leaders of our future. I asked one of our participant peer leaders, Marie, what she would want me to say, and she just said to tell you, way to go, commissioners.
Thank you, Reverend, and Reverend Gates, Reverend Rogers. Next, we'll hear from Mountain Housing Opportunities. Cindy Weeks and Scott Dedman will have the next 3 presentations.
Thank you. We have a handout, and I'm Scott Dedman, Executive Director of Mountain Housing Opportunities. I want to thank you for this opportunity and for your service to Buncombe County. We are a local organization celebrating our 25th year. See if I can get this to advance. There we go. The economic impact. Over 500 workers earn income each year through our construction, home repair, home lending, property maintenance, and management. MHO now brings over $10 million of direct public and private investment into Buncombe County each year, and over $75 million of investment since 1988. This is a slide about the housing affordability gap. You know a lot about that, and it's in your handout. This is the growing rent burden, which shows almost 12,000 households paying greater than 35% of their income for rent in Buncombe County, and over half of those paying more than 50% of their income for rent. Our answer to this specific need starts with community rental investments, 534 safe, attractive, affordable apartments in good neighborhoods. These are for working families and individuals, retirees, and people with disabilities. Examples are the Griffin Apartments in downtown Asheville, Crowell Park Apartments off Smoky Park Highway near Inca, Glen Rock Depot with 60 apartments in a new building and renovation of the historic hotel next door for 22 additional apartments. This Glen Rock caused major improvements in the neighborhood. This before and after is from the exact same location. You can see the bridge on the right in the slide in both photographs. Homeownership and neighborhood revitalization, we started in 1991, developing homes for homeownership and lending for homeownership. We have built and financed more than 280 homes since 1991. For example, we build 6 homes each year with the homeowners in our self-help homeownership program in rural areas and small towns of Buncombe County, including Lester, Black Mountain, and Weaverville. Here's an example of how we increase the tax base. On your left, before, abandoned houses, land value $40,000. After, 16 homes, property value $2.1 million of tax value. Another recent example of our homeownership development. This is another dramatic example of neighborhood revitalization and building the tax base. The exact same location in both photographs. Before, in 1990, tax value $65,800. After, tax property value $1.8 million. Here's a before and after of a rehabilitated home. This is the program we started with, emergency home repair. 150 emergency home repairs now every year throughout Buncombe County. We are saving homes and saving lives. This is all about safety in the home for elderly and disabled homeowners and families with children. Our volunteers do a great job, including in the Ramp Festival, building wheelchair ramps each spring. There are some slides here about the broader impact on our work. You have in your handout, impact on education, positive impact on the environment, and also we always point out that building homes near jobs helps both the economy and the environment, and there's some data here to support that, including the commuting patterns of Buncombe County workers. Here's an overview of what we've developed in the River Arts District, linking downtown and the district. We believe that our work has encouraged significant additional private investments in the River Arts District. You will hear more about the Eagle Marketplace in just a few minutes. The questions you ask us are on your handout on this slide. This application is a technical services contract with the county for the past 20 years It has been as high as $90,000 a year for many of those years, and we thank you for that support. It's a core part of our support for all of our programs and all of our development, even though it is less than 3% of our operating budget. Other answers to specific questions are there, but thank you. And these are some of our funding and finance partners. And finally, I say each time I give a presentation that if you work in Buncombe County, you should be able to live in this community in a safe, attractive, affordable home in a good neighborhood. Thank you for your support. And now Cindy Weeks, our Director of Community Investments, will make the next presentation.
Good evening, Chairman Gant and the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners. I'm very happy to be here this evening to talk to you about two really exciting projects that Mountain Housing has been involved in with partners. The first is Beacon Village, and this is the site of the old Beacon Manufacturing Company in downtown Swannanoa. We are jointly working on that with Swannanoa Valley Properties, LLC, which are the current owners of the site. And the purpose of this request is to study the Beacon site for future use and mixed use and development through a collaborative planning process. And I'm just going to outline a few of the tasks that would be before us with the addition of these funds. We would study the topographical, utility, and infrastructure analysis, assessment of environmental issues. It is a brownfield site. Do some base mapping. Study of the current and future zoning, community outreach, meeting with stakeholders, which include the county, community, and the nearby neighbors. Development of financial models to move the project forward. Identification of sources of funding and investment capital. Establishing construction timeline and benchmarks. And the next sections are about the collective visioning and programming. And this speaks more to taking the information from the Buncombe County commissioners, from your staff, from the neighborhood, from the area of East Buncombe County, and putting together a quality mixed-use project for this part of the county. Right now, that site is sitting there empty. There's a lot of concern about what it would become in the future, and what we're envisioning is a mixed use along the lines of Reynolds Village, where you have AVL technologies, some type of industry, you have retail and commercial, some public, you have the YWCA, as well as different levels of living. The deliverables, I brought one to show you, but it's kind of big, and it's, you know, the outcome is that what you do is you take all the vision and the information that's given to you by the citizens and by the invested parties and develop a vision book like this, which I'd be happy to lend to the commission after these presentations. And then that's used to pursue the rezoning of the property, to look for the finances and the funding for the property, and stage it as far as moving it forward. Our budget breakdown is, of the $75,000, we would use $57,500 for planning, program, community outreach, and deliverables, and the rest for survey. And just to kind of give you an overview, this is the site. You can see very clearly, Route 70, which is to the north, Route 40 and the railroad line to the south. Then this is the current zoning in the area, showing that the zoning of the site now is EMP employment, with some residential and commercial around it. And then finally, I'm sorry the writing on this isn't big enough to see, but the green is all residential type development, and these are just schematics of what could be. This is, you know, this will evolve into something very different as we move forward with the community. But the side of on the eastern side of the site is, and I don't even know if I have a pointer here, but, oh, I do. Hey. But you can't see it up there. I don't know why. To the eastern end is the old Swannanoa Village, the old mill housing. And so all of the green on that end is single-family housing or multifamily housing in low density, along with some parkland. And then on the east side, or I'm sorry, I went backwards. Getting the hang of this. On the west side is where the downtown Swannanoa is, which is more commercial retail. So all the blue and the aqua is commercial and retail. And then the brownish reddish on the southern side of the site is along the railroad tracks, and that is slated or in discussion to be more of an industrial nature. So that's basically the outline of that project. And the next one I'm going to be speaking about is Eagle Marketplace, which several of you have seen before. And I'm waiting for my PowerPoint. Yay, there it is. This is a collaboration between Eagle Market Streets Development Corporation. I'd like to introduce Stephanie Twitty, who is our CEO. She's here in support, and the members of their board and staff would rise as well and show who you are. Thank you very much. We've been working on this project for over 2 years. The request we have before you is for $2 million, which the Commission actually last year gave a commitment letter for this loan, which would allowed us to go forward to the state of North Carolina and gain the tax credits for the project. But it's a mixed-use project, 62 residential units, 7,000 square feet of commercial, and 6,000 square feet of community. And the history of the area, a lot of you know because you've been residents a long time. It was the old African-American business district, had many businesses in the area, upwards of 50, that were really modest businesses owned by African-American families. And during urban renewal, what happened was the federal government decided to change the way cities were planned. They came in and destroyed a lot of the buildings and relocated many of the businesses. So Eagle Marketplace is an attempt to restore what was there with a new plan. If you're standing across from the Del Cardo building, which is directly on the corner of Eagle Street and South Market Street, this is what it looks like today. This is what it will look like after the development of this entire project. So you can see there's to the Del Cardo building, which is a historic building. To the right of it is the Dr. Collette building, historic building. And then to the south is the Ritz building. Those three buildings will be restored in their entirety in a historic manner and will be all used for commercial. This will add about $10 million to our tax base and provide about 500 construction jobs and 50 permanent jobs. This is a $13.5 million construction project. It's shovel ready. All the other financing is in place. All of our other plannings and zoning approvals are in place, and we expect to start construction July 1 of this year. Just to reiterate, it's 90,000 square feet of new development, residential 77,000 square feet, 62 apartments, and then commercial and community adding up to 13,000 square feet. There is a need for this housing. Our study has shown that there's about 8,000 jobs in the area and the income group that will be eligible for living in this complex, and 1,200 units 1,200 units like that. And finally, these are the questions that you had submitted to us to ask, and then I'm going to actually have a little time left to just talk. Our partners are the Community Affordable Housing Equity Corporation. They're a tax credit syndicator, and it looks like TD Bank is going to be our investor, so here we are in the building. We'll just walk downstairs and get that money. The North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, Asheville Regional Housing Consortium, and the City of Asheville. We are not asking for TDA money. All of your money will go for bricks and mortar. This project is 93% construction and construction-related cost and 7% administrative. And since I do have 1 minute left, I just wanted to reiterate that this is one of the best leverage of local dollars for housing and commercial development that exist in the United States. It's a program that was created by President Reagan in the 80s to allow corporations to get tax breaks and contribute equity for affordable housing. So it's a great program. It's a good investment. The breakdown in the sources of funds is equity 45%, the state 7%, the city 19%. If we receive this funding, the county will be at 17% and bank financing at 12%. So it's a great public-private mix, and we hope that we can gain your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cindy, Scott. The next three presentations will be Mount Zion Community Development. We'll have Belinda Grant. And she'll do the next after that, Mount Zion Eagle Street Project Loan. And then we'll hear from Shirley Duncan with Nazareth Baptist Church Senior Care Fellowship. Ms. Grant.
Okay, we have a PowerPoint. Commissioner Gant and to the Buncombe County Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity. I bring you greetings on behalf of Mount Zion Community Development, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and this is in reference to the Project NAF program. And NAF stands for Nurturing Asheville and Area Families. If you can look at slide 3, the needs data, you will see that infant mortality is an important measure of health and an indicator of health status. Also, the two leading in the second bullet, two leading indicators of infant mortality and birth weight and maternal weight. With the Project NAF program in slide 5, some of our goals are to provide advocacy and support services to pregnant women from the time that they find out they're pregnant until the baby is 2 years old. We provide support. We accompany them to medical appointments. We provide bus tickets so that they will not miss their appointments. We educate them on the importance of folic acid, breastfeeding, environmental smoke cessation, and SIDS, encouraging them to lay the baby back to sleep and stomach to play.
Just some statistical data. Buncombe County's infant mortality rate was 6.2 deaths per 1,000 live births in 2011. However, there is a dramatic disparity in infant mortality by race, and African American babies were 3.5 times more likely than a white baby to die before their first birthday. And some of our goals and objectives, we want to educate on the importance of breastfeeding and the maintenance of up until at least 6 weeks, eliminating the use of it and exposure to tobacco, smoking cessation, safe sleep, folic acid consumption, reproductive life planning, and improved self-esteem.
Some of the goals of Project NAF in 2001, we were cited as one of the top 5 programs in the United States for making a difference in the lives of pregnant women, and this was led by the U.S. Bureau of Health Education. It was an interchange of over 6,000 participants in 180 cities. We have recently received from the North Carolina Child Fatality Task Force, we were cited again in 2011 as a state model. We were recommended by Washington, D.C., the Appalachian Regional Council, and this recommendation came from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services in North Carolina for us to represent North Carolina at the annual conference in Preston, Virginia, where we continue to receive accolades as a national model and working with pregnant women and beyond, working with pregnant women and postpartum women and their families. So we do not just focus on the pregnant woman, we also work with her other children and encouraging her to keep her prenatal appointments. We have guest speakers from the community, from our community partners, to talk about healthy weight and exercise. We have Zumba. I always get confused whether it's Zumba or Zumba classes, exercise classes. We have our partners come in and talk to them about the importance of breastfeeding and educating them about what they can do. And our program is not a handout. It's a hand up and empowering our women to reach their goals so that their babies can have a healthy year of life and to reach their first birthday.
With that being said, we do believe that the gift of life is one of the most precious gifts, and these are some of our Project NAV babies who are in our program, and they are our future leaders of America. So with that being said, we would like to thank you on behalf of our staff, our participants, and the babies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
And in closing again, we know that Project NAV cannot take all of the credence for babies living, but without a doubt, we have made a major difference. And we would use funds for leverage funds as mandated by the state that we need leverage funds. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Dr. John Grant about the Eagle Street project loan.
My name is John Grant. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present Mount Zion Community Development Incorporated Workforce Housing Project. The Mount Zion Community Development Incorporated is into its 16th year of operation and is currently working to create 50 workforce housing apartments in the 3 historic buildings in the historic district in downtown Asheville that's known as the Block on Eagle and Market Streets. This has been a long process along with the Eagle Market Streets Development Corporation. Our work represents now about 20 years we've been working to develop this area, and we are so grateful to hear of the project with Eagle, the progress with the Eagle Market Streets place. The residents in this project will be 70 to 120% of the average median income, with primary focus on teachers, policemen, firemen, and others who serve in the downtown community but cannot afford to live in the neighborhood they serve. We are requesting $2 million in a low-interest loan funding, not grant funding, as an investment from the county. It is our hope to receive county support to help fill our $3 million budgetary gap, and allow this project to continue moving forward. Once this gap is filled, it will permit other funders to fully commit and allow construction to begin easily within the next 6 months. We have listed our funders for you, our partners, I should say, for you. That's a part of your handout. They include land use incentive from the city, KHEC, which is the Historic Tax Credit Syndicator, Mount Zion Community Development Incorporated, owner equity, also from Mount Zion Community Development Incorporated, the Self-Help Credit Union, the Self-Help Neighborhood Stabilization Program, and of course, hopefully the City of Asheville and the County of Buncombe. We are requesting assistance from the city as well, and we are hoping that the city and the county can partner to help fill our budgetary gap. These funds will go directly to construction costs. Our overall budget is $11,210,850, and this is a development budget. So all the costs included are either construction hard costs or soft costs related to construction. Why should the county support the project? This is a public interest project which will revitalize an officially designated blighted area that has been historically neglected in the central business district in downtown Asheville. Buncombe County would help to generate the success of this project, a project that the county has already invested in terms of our pre-development stage. This project is a true investment with a return to the county in the form of additional interest income and an increase of the tax base in that neighborhood. It will provide much needed workforce housing in the downtown area. And with my minute and 20 seconds left, I'm going to turn it over to our developer, a development partner, Mr. Dan Ligon.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity. I'd just like to add 2 points to Dr. Grant's presentation. One, you've heard a few minutes ago from Mountain Housing and Eagle Market Street about their terrific project right up the street from ours. And these 2 projects are complementary. They fit hand in glove. Our income targets are 70 to 120%, as Dr. Grant said. And it fits perfectly with the tenants in the project up the street. And between the 2 projects, you're talking well in excess of a $20 million investment in the Eagle Market Street neighborhood. And so I think you'll see all kinds of benefits coming to the county and to the citizens, more importantly, from both of these projects. The other point I'd like to leave with you is we're very happy to read in the Buncombe County Sustainability Plan that was developed by the county over the last several years that workforce housing was one of the very top priorities. I don't know if there's such a thing as a no-brainer anymore, but this is pretty close to it to help reduce people's transportation costs as well as their housing costs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Nazareth Baptist Church Senior Care Fellowship, Shirley Duncan. The next 2 presentations will be New Hopes, New Beginning, and One Youth at a Time. Ms. Duncan.
Good evening. I'm Shirley Duncan with the Nazareth First Baptist Church Senior Care Fellowship Program. It is a one-day program for senior citizens and caregivers. We offer crafts, van pickups. We do a hot lunch every Tuesday, and we go from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In the process, we have 5 volunteers. There are no paid employees. We also furnish the hot lunches. The 5 volunteers do that. And the only thing that we really pay for is the seniors' birthday celebration, and they get to go wherever they want to go, whatever restaurant they would like to go, that's where we take them, and we pay for their food. And there is a great need for it, and thank you for supporting us these years, and hope that you will support us further. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Next up, New Hopes, New Beginnings, Susan Lytle. And then we'll have One Youth at a Time, and then Pisgah Legal Services Children's Law Project.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me present tonight. I do have a PowerPoint as well. This is our transitional home. We are a domestic violence organization, and we work along with HelpMate and other organizations in Buncombe County. The need that I feel is so great is a permanent, not a permanent, a long-term residence for these women. As HelpMate explained it, you know, they're an emergency crisis center, and they're overflowed, and they have a waiting list, and there isn't a transitional home in Buncombe County that just serves domestic violence. So this will be our home. It's I'll give y'all handouts. Who we are. Our vision is to work collaboratively with the community to work with these women. We don't handle substance abuse, we just handle the domestic violence. But we have so many great programs that we have set up. I am the executive director. I'm a full-time employee, and I work as a volunteer. We have 2 other part-time staff members who work as volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers that help with our events. We hold a chili cook-off every year. which is coming up March 2nd. We hold a masquerade ball in October, and we hold a Love Me Tea, which is an educational event because it's so important that we educate our teens as well as our adults. How will we support our home? Through grants, like I hope we can receive from Buncombe County, with corporate donors, individual donors. We're really getting started. We have done a lot of work in the community. We do help find placement for women, and that's kind of hard to do when you have nowhere to send them. But we do. We work with ABCCM. We have other avenues of individuals that will take them in their home. As far as myself, I have brought home several women that my husband is hoping we get a transitional house very soon. But our bath product business is what I am excited about. We have a business within our nonprofit, and we feel that in 2 years we will be able to sustain New Hopes, New Beginnings by selling this product. I'm not holding my mouth correctly, huh? Okay, my qualifications are listed on your handouts as to running a business. I do have background in business and marketing. Developed this product, and this bag costs $2.30 to make. We retail it for $5.99, and we retail it for $11.99. We wholesale it for $5.99. We have 6 different types, and the end of February we will be launching our new website, as well as this on our website, and we will be taking orders, and we've got a lot of interest out there. We've been giving out samples. So I see this as being a model for North Carolina, a transitional home where women can live for up to 2 years, where they can have a place for their children to play. We're going to teach self-sustainability. We're going to teach gardening. We're going to give them the tools to start their life over. And with this bath product business, it will be in-house. They will work there on the grounds, and they will be paid more than minimum wage. They will receive benefits. We want them to get out of that minimum wage and not being able to take care of themselves. We want them to leave with the hope, knowing that they can provide a future for themselves, a future for their children, and not have to be under the poverty level. We will house up to 10 families at a time. We will have a resident that stays there. Our offices will also be there. So our overhead is very little. As you can see, as I said, no salaries. So this would mean a lot to get our transitional house off the ground and up and running. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lytle. Next, we'll hear from L.C. Ray, One Youth at a Time, Physical Legal Services, and then the Mediation Center Family Visitation Program. Reverend Ray.
Thank you. Chairman Gant and Vice Chair Jones, to the distinguished Board of Commissioners, Dr. Green, and to the administrative staff here, and to our county. I bring you greetings from One Youth at a Time Incorporated. One Youth at a Time has been in operation for 22 years under our 501c3 for 19 years. And I must say, on behalf of our board, our staff, and especially our children and youth, we would like to say to the county thank you for the confidence and for putting your trust in us to serve this county, but also to serve our children and our youth. One Youth at a Time, our grant that you have before you is three programs in one. These 3 programs, one in particular is school dropout. We have worked for the county at the Irwin High School, and in your package, we have letters of accommodation from several of those that we are serving. But also, one of the grants is our workforce program that we have with AB Tech. We have served them very well, and I think the statements that they have given to you in a written statement pretty much verifies that. We're very proud of One Youth at a Time, but also the results, our measurements, and our goals that we have seen over the years. For around 16 years, the county has had trust and confidence in us to serve. You can see in your package, but also you can see with the grant that the results have been very rewarding to us. We appreciate our young people, and especially those that are at the end of as far as their life in school and also in the community. We try to work with all kids. We don't turn any young person down. We follow them through school, and for those that are falling through the cracks, we meet in the courts. The courts calls us, and we do our best to share services for them that have fallen through the cracks. May I say on behalf of all of us, we thank you and continue, if you will, to have trust and confidence in our service. And I would promise you we would give it our best to lift up many of our young people, but also single parents and other family members out from where they are so that they can enjoy the American dream and enjoy life that so many enjoy. Thank you for this time. We appreciate your trust.
Thank
God
you,
bless you.
Reverend Ray. Next, we'll have Jim Barrett with Pisgah Legal Services Children's Law Project. Then we'll have the Mediation Center, and then Western Carolina Medical Society Foundation. Jim?
Thank you, and thank you all for your service. This is quite a marathon.
It's fun.
Yeah. Bet next year you might break it in 2 days. As you know, Pisgah Legal Services is a regional organization providing free civil legal assistance to very low-income people. For example, a family of 4 would qualify for our services if they make less than $27,000 a year. We've been providing this service for over 35 years, and we work on helping people meet their basic needs. So we do that through free civil legal assistance, not criminal legal assistance. And we also collaborate with other organizations and fill gaps in services and try to provide information about what our clients need based on the number of people that we serve. Our services are provided by staff of about 44 full and part-time people, as well as more than 400 volunteers. And involving 400 volunteers in a law firm is pretty complicated. That slide's a lot what I was expecting next. Maybe I went bad too fast. Well, anyway, most of our cases involve homelessness prevention, protection from abuse, safe housing, health care access, and income. We also have an elder law project that you fund through another direction from another source. That helps seniors live in their homes longer, and we provide end-of-life planning. The homelessness prevention work involves preventing unnecessary foreclosures and evictions and stabilizing housing for families with children. We also, in the abuse prevention area, help people obtain protective orders in court and the other relief that they can gain there. In accessing health care, most of that work is helping people qualify for Medicaid and disability. These cases are targeted to people who are homeless and have severe mental illness. With regard to income, we help people access unemployment benefits, disability, and subsistence income. And then we help a lot of people counsel them with debt. In 2012, we helped 8,912 low-income people in Buncombe County to meet basic needs. And because we provide just the legal services, we have to partner with other organizations to help them. And we want to help them holistically so that we can solve the underlying problem, not just put a Band-Aid on the thing that brought them in the door. So our request here is for our Children's Law Project. With your past support, we helped more than 3,329 Buncombe County children last year. Our clients are just as cute as the ones you saw in the picture, but we have to use stock photos when we're in a big public setting like this because we don't want to endanger our clients. We're pretty pleased that with the quantifiable benefits to the county and our clients. In all our programs last year in Buncombe County, the quantifiable benefit was more than $11 million. Now, understand today that North Carolina is not going to go for the Medicaid expansion. So we're going to go back and recalculate those benefits, because if we calculate the number of years those disabled clients are going to get Medicaid now, based on what they might have gotten before, it's going to be 10 or more years instead of the 3 that we calculated. So probably the quantifiable benefit is more like $20 million. When I calculated it at $11 million, that was a fixed 56-to-1 return on your investment. These benefits include home equity saved from foreclosure, rental assistance secured, Medicaid payments to local medical providers. We also leverage a lot of volunteer lawyer support from people like David Gant. Private attorneys closed 689 cases last year to assist Buncombe County clients. About 300 volunteer lawyers volunteer through our program. They donated more than $379,000 worth of legal time last year, just at $150 an hour. You can't get a lawyer for $150 an hour, but that's how conservatively we value it. Also, we got more than 8,000 hours donated by our non-attorney volunteers. So I wanted to clarify that we've asked for $95,000 and we received $92,250 in the past year, but I understand that about $20,000 of that came from federal funding pots. So we're not really asking for as big an increase as it indicates, just a $2,500 increase. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Next up, we'll have Laura Jeffords and Kathleen for the Mediation Center Family Visitation. Then we'll have Western Carolina Medical Society Foundation, and then WNC Communities.
Good evening. I'm Laura Jeffords. I'm the director of the Mediation Center, and this is Kathleen Balo, our board chair. We're glad to be here with you tonight to talk about the Family Visitation Program at the Mediation Center. This program serves families with supervised visitation and monitored child exchange. The families that we're working with have a history or a high risk of domestic violence, child abuse, substance abuse, low parenting skills, mental health concerns, and child abduction. And what this means is that one of the parents in that family needs supervision to visit with their child in a way that's safe, or otherwise might not be able to visit with their child at all, and that child will lose their relationship with their parent, or that the parents, when they see each other in public to exchange their child for weekend visits, that interaction is high conflict and potentially violent. So it poses a risk not just to victims of domestic violence, but also to children who might also be victims or would witness that abuse or violence. We are serving a lot of families in Buncombe County who need this service. We served 57 different families in the last complete fiscal year. We did 669 supervised visits for those families and 132 safe child exchanges. Every single one of those visits and exchanges was free of violence and abuse for the families. That's according to our visit monitors who are watching the visits and exchanges, but it's also according to our parents who we survey twice a year. So from their point of view as well, their children were safe and comfortable when they were at the program. We changed over about a year ago to an evidence-based model of supervision, and which is a supportive supervision model. It was put together by the New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. And as part of this model, the parents get 15 minutes of coaching and goal setting before and after each visit with their child. They work from a list of age-appropriate goals. They learn about child development and solve problems with the visit monitor so they can have the safest, happiest visit possible. 85% of our parents met at least 2 goals for each quarter in the last year. We have great support from our community. Community members volunteered well over 1,100 hours in the last fiscal year, and we expect to see an increase in that this year. We also receive funds from the Governor's Crime Commission, from Violence Against Women Act funds, the United Way of Asheville and Buncombe County, sliding scale fees that are paid by our clients, donations from individuals and churches. There are several local congregations that offer support. The Governor's Crime Commission Violence Against Women Act funds require a local match, and because of your support in the current year, we were able to provide that match for that very substantial source of income. Our community partners, Buncombe County Department of Social Services, Helpmate, Pisgah Legal, the Guardian Ad Litem Program, United Ways 211, and the Buncombe County Courts all send us referrals. Most of them provide training to our staff and our volunteers, and all of them have a representative on our Family Visitation Advisory Committee, so they provide advice and expertise to improve the quality of our program and provide the best service possible to our families. Our budget for this year was about $25,000, under $700,000. 18.9% of our funds go to fundraising, administration, and management, and the rest of that is program. The Family Visitation Program is a long-term investment in community safety. It's not just a Band-Aid for these families. We have seen when there's an increase in violent crime in our community, we see referrals to our program increase substantially. Between 2009 and 2010 and the following fiscal year, there was a 63% increase. There was a 96% increase in rape, homicide, aggravated assault, and simple assault in Buncombe County. We had a 63% increase in exchanges and a 34% increase in supervised visits. This service protects domestic violence victims from having contact with their abuser, protects children from witnessing or experiencing ongoing abuse and violence. And most importantly, children who are abused or exposed to violence are more likely to become abusers themselves. The children who participate in this program, we're protecting them now, and we're protecting our community in the future. Thank you for your ongoing support.
Thank you, Laura. Kathleen. Next up, we'll hear from the Western Carolina Medical Society Foundation, Sharon Lewis and Miriam Swartz. And then we'll hear WNC Communities, YWCA, and then we'll end up with Asheville Buncombe Regional Sports.
Good evening. It's a real honor to be here tonight. I'm very happy to be here to talk about Project Access. Project Access has been around for a long time. We have been here since 1996, and we've been operating continuously since then. Our focus is on helping the uninsured get access to care that they otherwise would not have were it not for this program. And I want to emphasize that the access to care is not the care that they're getting through other county funding, through the Buncombe County Health Department or through the Western North Carolina Community Health Services. Those are primary care and preventive care offerings for patients. But patients who need more than that, if they're chronically ill, if they're in medical need, and their cases are too complex to be served in a primary care setting or in a health department or in any of the safety net clinics that we have in town, they need to be able to be referred easily, quickly, expeditiously to high-quality health care. And what Project Access does is it levels the playing field for all people. So not only does it provide access, it also provides equity. We really rely on the county for funding. I'm not going to, pretend otherwise. We've been funded by the county since 1996, and I'll talk a little bit later about what we asked for initially and what we're asking for now. Really, without Project Access, we'd have people who would become destitute because they'd have to pay enormous medical bills, or they would be very, very sick, or as many of our patients say to us, without Project Access, I would not be here. We've got Project Access sites springing up all over the country. This is a model. This is a model that has been replicated across the United States in over 100 communities. And to this day, in fact, today, we get calls from other communities asking us, how did you harness this volunteer healthcare system to do what you're doing? So what is Project Access? Well, it is a volunteer system. And basically what we're doing is we're leveraging volunteer services from a variety of different partners, from private physicians and hospitals to laboratories, radiology services, you name it, we pull it together. So a lot of the work that we do administratively is coordinating and leveraging services for patients. We anticipate serving 4,000 people this next year at a value of over $10 million. So this isn't your typical nonprofit program, because what we're doing is we're harnessing private sector philanthropy and partnering it up with the public sector. We have very stringent enrollment criteria. We ask patients to take responsibility and sign a responsibility form, so there is accountability. Project Access helps the county directly because we actually take a lot of Winch's patients, the federally qualified community health center. The majority of patients we see are from the federally qualified community health center. We're integral to the safety net system. We provide access that otherwise would not be available, and we are aligned and working closely with all of the safety net providers and meet with them regularly to make sure that we're on the same track. Our return on investment is wonderful. For every dollar you invest in our program, you get a $20 return. That's pretty darn good. I'm going to skip a couple of the next slides because I've truncated my presentation. Here are our partners. I'm not going to read it, but it's in the PowerPoint presentation if you'd like to take a look. And this is really just a taste of all the partners we have. Our additional funders, the biggest one is Mission Foundation. These are all one-time funding, funding streams that we get from year to year, so we can't count on them every year. I want to point out that we had asked for $500,000, and I don't usually do this, but we're actually going to lower our ask to $450,000 because just this last week we were able to find new efficiencies by co-locating our staff over at Winch's and saving money by having streamlined processes. The budget is in there so you can see how we're going to use the funds, and I would like to point out that most of our program is direct service. The administrative component involves maintaining a volunteer group of over 500 physicians, which takes some doing. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm sorry I ran out of time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Sharon, Miriam. Next, we'll hear from Linda Lamp and L.T. Ward with WNC Communities. Then we'll hear the YWCA and the Asheville Regional Sports.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We appreciate very much the opportunity to be here. I'm L.T. Ward. I'm a volunteer executive with WNC Communities. With me this evening is Linda Lamp, our executive director, and I believe we had handouts that we left. We're just delighted that we have an opportunity to share with you some, very briefly, some things that are going on with WNC Communities. I'm going to give you some of the history, some of the benefits to Buncombe County, and some of the vision of where we are headed. I do have a PowerPoint program, and there it is. The year was 1949. The focus was to improve quality of life for folks in rural western North Carolina. The leadership was coming from the Chamber of Commerce, the Agriculture Committee, and was supported by the Buncombe County Commissioners. Some of the foot soldiers at that point was Morris McMagoo, a name that many of you might know, and George Cecil. George Cecil is currently a board member after 63 years, continuing with our organization. He is a lifetime board member and very active. Organization has had strong leadership over the years, and our current president is K. Ray Bailey. The organization, there were two organizations in the area, Western North Carolina Development Association and Western North Carolina Communities, Associated Communities, and in 2000 they formed WNC Communities, and we have been functioning as that from that time. The Associated Communities was out west. They were responsible primarily for the Cherokee Historical Association, Unto These Hills, completion of the Blue Ridge Parkway, and Friends of the Great Smokies. Why will that there? WNC Communities, I mentioned, formed in '49, community development, community participation, and agriculture economy. I'm going to flip through some of this pretty quickly if I can. The footprint area for, as a regional organization, 20 western counties, we basically convene, collaborate, and carry out innovative programs. That's hard to read, but there are a number of organizations that we are collaborating with to carry out these programs in Western North Carolina, and those are in the handout. I'm going to refer to this. I can't see that myself. Some of the benefits to Buncombe County is the core leadership of all the programs. We have a strong relationship with county extension programs. We have 9 organized communities in Buncombe County with 23,500 households participating. In the agriculture program, we have 650 farmers that are involved in livestock production, education programs, the Beef Cattle Commission, Dairy Commission, and the newly organized Brewers Grain Alliance, which I'll speak to in a moment, and our new forestry programs, which is utilizing some of the TVA monies for Commissioner of Agriculture. And recently, in the last 3 years, you have been very generous in supporting the livestock program, and I can report that we have 31,000 head of cattle have been sold for $23 million and more than $2 million of money in the pockets of the producers. And I'm going to show you a real quick slide, and that is this one. In the brewer's grain, we are hoping to bring the farmers and the brewers together by taking the byproduct to the farm at a very low cost. And you can see the output. I'm running out of time, but in 3 years, when all brewers are here, there will be 40 truckloads of grain that will need to be consumed, and we're working to try to build that consumption capacity. That is why we have an extra $5,000 in our request. Thank you very much for your for allowing us to be here, and we appreciate all the support that you have given us over the 63 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa and LT. Next up is Beth Masco with YWCA, and we'll end with the Asheville Buncombe Regional Sports Commission and Ben Van Camp.
Good evening, Commissioner Gant and commissioners, and for all the people who have lasted all evening, I congratulate you. We're almost at the end. My name is Beth Mask. I'm the Executive Director of the YWCA of Asheville. I have a PowerPoint. The YWCA of Asheville has been eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all since 1906. The YWCA is requesting $25,000 to provide free short-term child care to low-income families as they work towards a job, training, or a school. As everyone who has a child knows, a family's economic security depends first on stable employment, but also reliable first-rate child care. As low-income women in Buncombe County struggle to enter or re-enter the workforce, they are faced with a compounding issue of what to do about child care. The YWCA's New Choices program helps at least 130 women and families stabilize and improve their family's economic situation each year. Working with their staff, participants set goals, make career plans, some for the first time in their lives. More than 70% of New Choices participants want to return to school. In addition to support, referral, and case management, the YW also provides a 14-week empowerment series called Mother to Mother. Collaborating partners help to develop and present content that focuses on job seeking and job keeping skill development, as well as career exploration and personal growth. The YW also has a small ready-to-work fund which cover costs that are essential to work or education, but that can be barriers if you have no money. In the past, the YW has purchased uniforms and work boots, paid for licenses and fees, helped buy textbooks, and brought bus passes, all in the effort to reduce the barriers to work and education for women. But by far, the greatest barrier to women's economic security is consistent, affordable, high-quality child care. Child care presents a special challenge for low-income and working families. There is a huge voucher waiting list in Buncombe County. As of January 5th, 2013, there are 1,408 children on the waiting list. My coworkers tell me that last month, due to the shortage of child care vouchers, intake in our drop-in child care center doubled from an average of 12 to 13 per month to 26. 14 of those enrollments were from workforce clients referred from the Department of Social Services. Child care costs an average of $7,280 a year for full-time infant care, which is more than college tuition. Minimum or less than living wage jobs hardly pay enough for a babysitter, much less quality child care in a licensed facility. The YW's Child Care Center, Drop-In Child Care Center, is the only free child care available anywhere in Buncombe County. We are open 58 hours per week with 24 hours notice. Families from New Choices, as well as our partner agencies, can access child care for up to 4 hours per day for as many as 3 days per week. There is no maximum time that families can use the Drop-In Child Care Center, but we work diligently with each client and partner agency to ensure that clients are indeed working towards their long-term goals. When you fund this program, you are also funding 12 other agencies in Buncombe County. Instead of each agency trying to provide child care for their participants, the YW is providing this service for all the agencies listed here. Workforce clients can use the Drop-In Child Care Center while they search for a job or enroll in school. Clients of Helpmate, Mary Benson House, or Mountain Area Recovery can know that their children are safe while they're accessing vital counseling services. Goodwill participants can use our free child care while they are in training. This slide shows the referral sources for the 153 families who have used the center in the past year. In the past 3 years, from the 560 families we have served, 29 families have secured full-time jobs, 106 secured part-time jobs, 19 people with disabilities secured benefits, and 19 enrolled in a 4-year college. 178 enrolled in community college or vocational training, and 49 obtained other training to help them secure a better wage. And during that time period, the Drop-In Child Care Center provided 1,309 children with 8,950 hours of quality care while their parents worked to improve their family's status. The YWCA will use county funds to help provide staff, space, and materials for the Drop-In Child Care Center. Thank you for your time and your consideration of our request.
Thank you, Beth. Last but certainly not least, Asheville Buncombe Regional Sports Commission, Ben Van Camp. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, and I recognize I'm the only thing standing in the way of dinner, so I'll try to be brief. The Sports Commission, I have a PowerPoint. There we go. Sports Commission was founded just a little over 2.5 years ago as a partnership between Buncombe County, the City of Asheville, and the Buncombe County Tourism Development Authority as a way of having economic development through sporting events. And that's an odd concept for people to get their heads around, but we're going to come back to that in just a minute. So it's economic development through sports. Our funding comes from 4 distinct sources. Actually, the first 2 years, it was just 3 sources: the TDAs, Buncombe County, and the City of Asheville. So I thank you for that support. This third year, we decided to expand our budget, but we didn't want to expand the the demand and request from the taxpayers. So we have working with the private community, personal donations and private support from corporations to increase our budget. So currently our budget is $180,000. 88% of that goes to program expenses. So we're pretty lean. This event here, this is the gala gymnastics event. So I just want to highlight this for a second. The first time the planners of this, who are from Charlotte, called me, they said, you know, we have this idea of a signature gymnastics event, and we think Asheville is the perfect destination. We have a vacation home in Asheville. We love it. We want to bring this event here. But we have no idea where to do it. We need a lot of support. We have no local resources. We got them in touch with a facility. We got them in touch with hotels. We got in touch with everything they needed to pull their event off. And we continue to do that. The first year, they did not have a big success. They only had a couple hundred participants. This year, we worked with them to change the date. We worked with them on their marketing. They tripled their attendance and participation this year. In 2 or 3 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised if this gala gymnastics event has 2,000 to 3,000 participants in it. That can have a tremendous impact to our tourism economy at a particularly slow time of year. That's really what the goal is here right now, is to, this time of year, January through March, to increase that. Increase the participation in our events locally. Another thing we do is attract events to town. This is the LPGA Symetra Tour. So this is the return of professional golf to Western North Carolina this spring. This will take place at the Country Club of Asheville in May. I do want to highlight the Southern Conference basketball tournament. It's probably the most noted project that the Sports Commission works on. Last year was its first year. We broke the all-time SoCon attendance record by 18%. We knocked it out of the park. Southern Conference is thrilled with Asheville right now. They're thrilled with Buncombe County. They're thrilled with the support. They see Asheville and Buncombe County as a home for a long time. They were here for 12 years before. I don't see any reason why they won't be here for 12 years more. In fact, they said that to us. They said, hey, if you don't screw anything up this year, we'll sign the contract again to keep going. So we're working real hard not to do that. And this year, I just want a quick plug, March 8th through the 11th, U.S. Cellular Center and Kimmel Arena. Tickets are available. But this is the most important slide I want to impress upon you. Our first year, we were just getting rolling. We worked with, 5 events that contributed $1.69 million into our economy. Not bad for just a startup. Our second year, we worked with 8 different events that had an estimated economic impact of $8.28 million into our economy. Here in our third year, 2013, we're working with 10 different events. Those events have a projected economic impact of $13.36 million into our economy. So if you want to talk about a return on investment, the $45,000 in support that we received from Buncombe County, in my mind and in the mind of everyone I work with, is pretty good money well spent. So we are attracting the right events at the right time of the year. The tourism economy in Asheville, in the tourism sector, many of those employers, hoteliers and restaurants, have to lay people off this time of year. If you look at the payroll for, a hotel or a restaurant now, as compared to September, it's dramatically different. What we are doing is really focusing our efforts at bringing events to town through January and March when they need it the most, so that they can keep their payroll up, they can keep their employees working, and keep everyone in business. So with that, I said I'd be brief. I just want to close by saying we have had a wonderful partnership with Buncombe County since we started. Buncombe County was instrumental in forming this organization. We've had a tremendous relationship with former Commissioner Peterson and former Commissioner Bailey. I miss them tremendously on this board, but they are still serving with us, and we are very thankful for their service, and I look forward to working with you in that same manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. And thank all that'll be our last presentation tonight that I'm aware of. Is that right, Madam Clerk? I want to thank everybody for good presentations. I want to thank you for getting to the point, and there's nothing that this format, we'll still have questions for you. I'm sure a lot of the individual commissioners will be asking you questions. We certainly want to get more information if you want to provide it, tours, comments. The reason we did it this way, we just thought it was the fair thing to do, is get everybody the same amount of time, and particularly have our new members that may not be as familiar with some of the programs you're doing to get a chance to hear from you and see you firsthand. So I want to thank you for making this a good experience for us, and we learned a lot. I learned some things I didn't know about some of you after 16 years sitting on this board, so I thank you for your information. Is there any other comments from the board members? If not, we'll be adjourned. Thank you for coming tonight.